What's up, guys? So I traded in my BRS warhead and purchased this instead. This is the PDW Prometheus Design Works Auto Invictus. I got this one in place of that BRS warhead because the button on it was so shallow and such a hair trigger. I was afraid to even carry that knife in my pocket for fear of it going off. If it had had a safety like this one does, that never would have been an issue. This one has a push button safety. If you slide it up, it's engaged. You cannot push the button. You slide it down and the knife is ready to deploy. Compared to that BRS, I really like that BRS warhead's blade shape. I was in love with that blade shape. Unfortunately, that button just killed it for me. BladeHq was gracious enough to take the knife back. They offered me a refund, but I told them just give me a store credit because I knew I'd get another knife, and this is the one I picked up a few days later. Jimping is excellent. I mean, your finger really locks in. It's not overly sharp, so it's not going to hurt you as you use it. That little forward finger choil just works. The handle is simple. No hot spots that I can really feel. It's jimping along the back if you decided to carry it in a reverse grip, though I'm not sure how much that jimping is really going to matter for you. It's got a very deep carry pocket clip. There is a slit in the middle that allows your finger to get a little traction when you're pulling it out. It's a nice feature. This knife is really thin. It's not like super thin, but it carries really nicely, almost like a Benchmade 940. I get that kind of vibe from this knife, considering the size of it and just the slimness and the overall design. It is anodized aluminum, but it's not that chalky anodizing like Benchmade does. This is very smooth. Well, not very smooth, but it's smooth. You can still get a good traction on it, but it doesn't have that chalky feel that I'm not a fan of. The blade comes pretty close to the end of the handle here, so you've got a really nice amount of blade to handle ratio. Centering is almost perfect. It does favor one side just a hair, but I can totally live with that. That is totally acceptable. Just a spot for a lanyard. Doubt I'll ever use one on this knife. My only real complaint on this is the coil spring. Because it is so strong, if you watch this, it'll rebound. And I may do this in slow motion just to show you guys. But it rebounds off that stop pin. One note about the button, let me get it up here to the light, is that it does glow in the dark. I'm not sure how well it's going to pick up. Just a little, I don't even know what you call it, just a little flourish. Checking out the centering on it now. I'm not sure it's so much the blade centering as it is just the way it was ground. It looks like it's kind of lopsided. The steel is 154 cm. There is a finger choil. You can choke up on it very nicely, and your thumb rests right in this little indent. The blade reminds me very much of a traditional spear point type blade. Let me grab my traditional GEC and show you what I mean. So this is my GEC Barlow. I believe it's the 77 model. White bone handle. Yeah, it's the 77. It's stamped on the blade. The blade style, though, very much reminds me of what's on this Invictus. It's got that traditional type spear point to it. Hopefully you can see that resemblance that I'm talking about. But when I first saw this knife, that was immediately the first thing I thought of, was this little GEC. I'll show you a couple of blade comparisons. This is the Benchmade 940. Invictus obviously is larger. Spyderco Paramilitary 2, just a hair longer. And a Spyderco Endura, again just a little bit longer. Overall, I really like this knife. There's nothing that really stands out that makes me say, you know, that's kind of funky. It's just a simple design and it works. It's made in the USA. The description on BladeHq mentioned that it had the action of a ProTech, so I think ProTech may be putting these together. If that's the case, then like any other ProTech, I mean, it's almost flawless. Nothing really to complain about as far as fit and finish goes. When you purchase this knife, there is no box and there is no packaging. It came wrapped up in plastic with a sticker that said Prometheus Design Work, Auto, Invictus, MIL, which I assume is the military LE designation. If I'm not mistaken, they designed this with military and law enforcement in mind. For me, it's just a great little everyday carry. But there it is, fellas. If you guys have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below. Appreciate you watching. Y'all have a good one.